now you have this insane policy where they're going to Home Depot and rounding people up, and it's kind of scary, and people that are American
because
citizens,
people have been here a long time, and and then you're rounding people up. It is scary, but it's like a response to it's that massive influx.
Yeah, it's an overcorrection,
right?
And it's also like they have a mandate, I think, of like 3,000 people a day they want to deport. Just you got a bunch of people that are totally innocent are going to get caught up in that.
Right.
They have been,
right.
They have been.
Right.
A lot of people that have green cards, a lot of people that are supposed to be over here. And then they're kicking students out that like write articles they don't like.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah. You love to see it. Joe Rogan is not letting up in his criticism toward the Trump administration and their deportation efforts, their immigration policies. And meanwhile, Trump's Department of Justice has had to drop cases against multiple protesters who were detained during anti-ICE demonstrations in Los Angeles, following news that US immigration officials actually made false claims to justify their arrests. Amazing. So let's get into the details. The news comes in a stunning piece that was written by The Guardian and covers the anti-ICE protest that took place in Los Angeles in June. Reporter Sam Levin was able to obtain federal law enforcement files pertaining to the protesters who were in fact arrested, finding that the Justice Department has charged at least 26 people with assaulting and impeding federal officers and other crimes during the protests over immigration raids. Now, assaulting a federal officer is serious business. In fact, if you're found guilty of doing that, it is a felony that could lead to a 20-year prison sentence. Now, prosecutors, however, have since had to have been forced to dismiss at least 8 of those felonies, many of them which relied on officers' inaccurate reports, court records show. And the officers we're talking about here are with Border Patrol. Okay, so Border Patrol agents are the ones who gave these statements that ended up being false. The Justice Department has also dismissed at least 3 felony assault cases. Now again, if you're wondering what exactly was in those inaccurate reports, here's one example. So DHS stated that they arrested 2 men for physically assaulting officers in response to 2 sisters that were being arrested. But according to the records, those men had actually already been arrested before the arrest of the 2 sisters or the 2 women. And they were arrested earlier in a completely separate incident. So a DHS agent stated that they were shoved by one of the 2 men. However, footage of the incident indicates that the opposite was true, that the officer was the one who shoved the civilian. Now, Christine Soto DeBerry, who's a former California state prosecutor, stated that the filing and dismissal of these cases might be a feature, not the bug. It seems this is a way to detain people, hold them in custody, instill fear, and discourage people from exercising their First Amendment rights. And The Guardian, by the way, also notes that 6 of the dismissed cases, the DOJ has essentially refiled lower level misdemeanors against the defendants. So I'm really happy to see that The Guardian followed up on this story to see what happened to the individuals who were accused of doing these things, whether or not there was actually any evidence to support the allegations that were made by Border Patrol agents and by DHS. And this is why Americans don't trust our institutions. When our institutions lie, when they literally do the opposite of what they're supposed to do, when they lie about American citizens to justify their imprisonment, yeah, that leads to distrust, rightfully so. Cenk.
So real quick, 2 things. One, about the arrests. So Anna read you one of the absurd parts they were lying about when it happened, and it was obvious. The second part was amazing. They said that the girls had pushed the agents, but on tape you see that it's the opposite, right? Mm-hmm. So they then changed the report to say that they were getting in the agent's face. They had clenching fists, and my favorite, they had, quote, pre-assault indicators.
Oh, okay.
So now you could be arrested for pre-crime, okay? You had pre-assault indicators. I didn't like the way you were holding your hands. Okay, I mean, if you don't realize that's BS, you're not gonna understand anything, okay? So, all right, so that's how wrong they were. Now on Rogan, look, before I was right about Rogan, I was wrong about Rogan, okay? So I understand why people thought, oh, he's just right wing. Oh my God, he endorsed Trump. I hate. Now, what I noticed about those podcasters is no, they're independents and they're not going to be just cult members. Okay, fine. But remember, before that, I got super mad at Rogan a couple of years ago, and I thought he had become totally right wing, and I was just as wrong at that time as a lot of people are today, right? But at some point, the weight of the evidence has to overwhelm you, right? So now he has objected to, basically picking up students from college campuses and arresting them on behalf of Israel. He has objected to our policy in Israel. He has objected to what Trump has done with the Epstein files and not releasing them. He has objected to the core immigration tactics of the Trump administration. I mean, these are massive objections about massive issues. If you can't see that he is independent now, then you're trying super hard not to see it. So I appreciate that. I still don't agree with a lot of his opinions, but that's the beautiful thing about America. We don't have to. And I appreciate that he's going in this direction because that is where the majority of the country is going. Let's take yes for an answer.
Yep.
Let's fight for our rights and get back to sanity. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.